The story begins by showing a man named Eric, who lived in a jungle several kilometers away from the city. Eric actually possessed some supernatural powers. He could generate electricity from within his body, which was quite dangerous. However, Eric did not have control over all these powers yet. Therefore, he left the city and started living inside the forest to avoid endangering anyone. After spending many days alone in the forest, Eric was feeling quite restless. Now he realizes that his powers are slowly burning his body because he hasn't learned to control them. If he doesn't learn to control his powers, he too will perish. One day, very frustrated, Eric ventures out of the forest towards a nearby village. He stealthily enters a house to steal necessary items because he couldn't find everything inside the forest. After gathering everything, Eric was about to return to the forest when suddenly some thugs appear in front of him. They start torturing Eric severely and bothering him. However, those boys didn't know whom they were dealing with. Eric just warns them not to touch him, otherwise they would all burn to death. Ignoring Eric's warning, one of the boys starts fighting with him, but suddenly, without even touching Eric, the boy's life is extinguished. He falls to the ground without any movement. Seeing this scene, the rest of the boys are terrified and start running away. Shortly thereafter, the police arrive at the scene and arrest Eric. This means that action will be taken against Eric for the crime he has committed. Now, on the other hand, we see Christine, a very lovely psychologist. However, recently, the patient Christine was treating committed suicide due to frustration. Christine considers herself responsible for all these things because she couldn't convince the patient how precious life is. Christine becomes quite sad, but then she receives a call from an officer because they had a case. Christine needed urgent help from all of them. Christine immediately forgot everything and rushed to the police station. Here we found out that Christine had to treat the same man Eric who was caught by officers for murdering a child. Now Christine was questioning Eric very cautiously about what exactly his problem was, what things in his body he wanted to show. Christine was talking to Eric quite comfortably, so Eric became a little comfortable. Eric slowly told Christine all about his superpowers, and now with Eric's help, he started moving the glass of water placed there without touching it, using his telekinetic powers to blow Christine's hair in the air. Christine was very shocked to see this because she had never seen anything like this before. Now Eric starts burning his hands on wood, with which now the temperature of the entire center had increased quite a lot, which happens not because of anyone else but because of Eric's superpowers. Fire alarms started ringing there, so now Christine forces Eric to learn to control himself, otherwise how many people's lives will be lost because of all this. After explaining to Christine repeatedly, Eric controls his powers for the first time and sprays them inside his body. Now discussions about Eric's superpowers had spread everywhere, so US military helicopters had come there to take him with them. Eric was quite scared and refused to go with them. Christine was also telling those soldiers that it is not safe to take him like this, but US military were following their orders received from the president, and despite Eric's refusal, they injected him and made him unconscious, taking him in the helicopter. Everything was going fine, and they had reached halfway. But the unfortunate thing was that Eric regained consciousness midway. He couldn't understand where all these people were taking him, so he became quite confused. As a result, all of Eric's superpowers started wreaking havoc around the helicopter. Many systems of the helicopter suddenly malfunctioned. Watching this, dark clouds started gathering in the sky, from which electricity was emanating so fast that it started shocking everyone inside the helicopter. Hathaway, a soldier present inside the helicopter, understood Eric just like Christine, that he needed to control his powers, otherwise many lives would be lost because of this. Despite Hathaway's presence, all the others inside the helicopter were killed due to the electric shocks, as they were not wearing any headgear and didn't have anything insulating their bodies against electricity. The helicopter went so out of control that it couldn't even fly properly and crashed into the nearby sea. Somehow, Eric managed to save Hathaway and bring him ashore. Now, news about Eric's superpowers spread everywhere, and when Christine learned about this whole news, she started worrying about Eric a lot. Christine started thinking a lot that something might happen to Eric, so now she set out to find Eric. Meanwhile, we are shown the father of that dead boy, because Eric had killed him. The boy's father was very angry and held Eric solely responsible for his child's death, so he also set out to punish Eric in any way possible. When Christine arrives at the parking area, she finds Eric there. Eric is severely injured, so Christine takes him to her friend's farmhouse. Meanwhile, Hathaway tries to contact the police to try to find Eric. Now the news had spread everywhere that a man named Eric, who possesses superpowers, will be rewarded by the government if captured. Therefore, openly wandering around with Eric like this was not safe. Christine immediately took Eric inside the farmhouse where she treated him. Christine bandaged Eric's body completely and treated him thoroughly. After getting very tired, Eric fell asleep right there. It was revealed here that Eric, somewhere deep down, started trusting Christine, because earlier he couldn't control his powers. But since he's been with Christine, she has taught him to control his powers and emotions. Now, while Eric was sleeping, Christine received a call from one of her friends, who was telling her that if she continues to be with Eric like this, she will also be seen as a criminal by the police. So, it would be better to hand Eric over to the police so that they can conduct their investigation properly. Christine also started to see these things in a proper light. But when Eric woke up, he said that she should surrender herself because Christine didn't have the courage to hand Eric over to the police. After explaining to Christine a lot, Eric also understood this, so he agreed to surrender himself because he didn't want to put Christine in trouble under any circumstances. And when Eric started going to the police in the car from here, Christine realized that she liked Eric a lot, and now she hugged him and said that I won't let you go anywhere, meaning that now Christine started loving Eric and he was in any case she will not hand it over to the police. After which Christine started traveling with Eric in her car and started going far away. Now both of them reached near a petrol station while traveling continuously, where Christine was getting petrol in her car. But when she was watching a television, then her Christine was on it. And both the photos of Eric, where it was being told that both of them are criminals and it's necessary to catch them. Christine became quite scared after learning all these things, and she started to feel that now, along with Eric, she has also become a criminal. When Christine returns to her car, Eric is nowhere to be found. Christine starts searching all around to finally find where Eric had gone. After searching continuously all around, Eric was standing at a place where he was behaving in a very strange manner. Christine brings Eric into her car in any way because it was not safe for them to wander outside like this, and now their news had spread everywhere, so everyone was starting to recognize them. Here, Eric tells Christine that suddenly strange visions were coming to him, in which there was a tree present in front of him and he was somehow connected to it. Along with this, Eric tells that I have to go back home because I got these unique powers from there. If I go there and find out all these things successfully, then I will also know the secret that who gave me these powers. Christine only tells Eric to keep control of your powers, but by then, maybe it was quite late. Eric becomes very out of control and electric waves start coming out of his body. These electric waves were completely damaging the car, causing the car system to suddenly destroy, after which it stopped moving forward. After all these things, Christine goes out with Eric and stops a truck coming in front. There was a man inside it who might not have seen the news yet, otherwise he would never let Christine and Eric climb inside his truck. But for now, both of them start climbing inside the truck and move forward, so that they do not come in the eyes of the police and get out of the city. The truck driver also had no idea about all these things. Now the truck was continuously moving forward, but Christine and Eric did not know at all that the police force had surrounded the entire place. The police were standing at a corner of a bridge from where one could go out, so that they would not find any way to go to the truck. As soon as the truck driver sees the police force, he got down. And they started running away, shouting that I am not with all these people. Both criminals are sitting inside my truck, so you can arrest them all. That's when we realized that the truck driver already knew that we were criminals because he had seen the advertisement on TV. He just wanted to hand Christine and Eric over to the police. Now Eric and Christine also understood that they were completely trapped, and the police force would not let them go anywhere. All the soldiers came forward with guns ready, and the highway was also reached, so Eric had to be caught. Christine got off the truck with Eric and tried to explain to the soldiers that Eric was not at fault at all. He was just trying to control his natural powers, but now all those soldiers had caught Christine and started causing her a lot of trouble. Eric requested all of them not to push Christine into these things. She was just helping me, she has no other work besides this, but still those soldiers showed no mercy to Christine. Eric kept shouting continuously, but it had no effect on those soldiers. Then Eric got so angry that electricity started transferring from his body. This electricity spread all over the bridge. At the same time, the weather there started changing. The sky turned black, and lightning started striking. Seeing this atmosphere, all the people there evacuated the bridge because iron rods were placed all over the bridge, and if electricity passed through it, every person touching the rod would die. But Christine immediately came to Eric to calm him down, so he became calm. But the soldiers still did not move back, so now Eric put more than half of his power into it, causing quite big shocks of electricity to start happening. The children around were making videos of it because they had never seen such a strange thing in their lives. Now, due to the electric shocks spreading all around, even the soldiers got scared and ran away. But if they want to defeat a dangerous man like Eric with supernatural powers, the best thing would be to throw him into water. Although the electricity generated by Eric's body's energy jars would neutralize all the power of electricity, meaning he wouldn't be able to spread it over the entire bridge using his energy. Perhaps there was no need for all those soldiers to do this because after using so many powers, Eric himself became unconscious. Christine was quite scared after seeing all these things, so she was asking for help. Those with Christine started going to the hospital with Eric. This was the police officer who had told Christine about Eric and met him for the first time because of him. The officer said he knew a hospital where his treatment could be done properly, but he was also quite shocked to see Eric's thunder powers and was saying that he had only heard all these things in stories, but this could happen in reality. There was no idea about this. It is also possible that a small part of our God is present inside Eric, which is why he got these natural powers, but for now, it was quite difficult to say all these things, so everyone was going to the hospital with Eric. Here everyone knew about all these natural powers of Eric. He had already spread completely on social media, where everyone was treating him like a god because the supernatural powers inside Eric were present here. He was taken inside the hospital as soon as possible, where he was going to be treated. A lot of people had gathered outside the hospital. Because they wanted to meet Eric. Actually, Eric had powers similar to thunderbolts, just like Thor, the deity of those people, had. Therefore, everyone started considering Eric as Thor and understood him as a new avatar of God. All the doctors were opening Eric's body to treat him when they realized that more than half of Eric's body had burned. They couldn't understand how Eric was still alive. Several equipment were placed on his body to extract Eric's reports, but within a short period of time, Eric started to lose control because the radiation from the machines was affecting him. Now, as Eric was losing control, he started using his electricity powers and began destroying all those systems inside the hospital. There was a huge explosion inside the hospital, and Eric was not intentionally causing all this, but the radiation coming out of his body was making these things happen. Everyone was surprised as to what had happened to Eric. Christine couldn't handle Eric either. But after a while, Eric suddenly becomes normal, but some nurses have started a rescue mission to get everyone out of the hospital so that no one gets hurt. Now, Eric was advancing here in the hospital when a man stood in front of him with a gun. This man was none other than the father of the same dead boy whom Eric had unknowingly killed. The man tells Eric that in exchange for taking my son's life, I will take your life, but Eric responds, please let me just save that girl's life. After this, the father of that boy realizes a little bit that it is necessary to save the life of the child in this situation, so he let Eric go from there. Eric immediately puts his hand on the little girl and leaves a small electricity wave, so that the life of that girl has come back once again. Everyone is very happy to know that Eric can also do all these things, meaning that in a way he is God who can save people very easily. After properly bringing the little girl back to life, everyone was bringing Eric out, but the crowd outside the hospital started to understand Eric as a very good person. So now it was believed that Eric is an avatar of God whom God himself had sent. For our security, currently the police officer and Kristen set out in the car towards Eric's house, because only there would Eric's secrets be revealed, how he acquired all these powers. Continuously traveling, the police officer and Kristen were heading towards the farm where Eric's old house used to be. Eric felt very strange, so he was sitting in one place, urging them to move forward. The officer and Kristen were quite shocked upon seeing the house, as it was completely destroyed. When Eric also arrived there after some time, he was being drawn towards a place, as if some mysterious secret was hidden underneath that place. A highway was visible a short distance away, which had reached there with its very advanced soldiers, and all of them had clear instructions that if Eric made even a slight mistake, he would be killed. Now the officer and Kristen were digging the ground beneath that place with the help of a crane because they knew that there was something present in the ground below. A road is visible there, inside which they both started checking first. That place was quite ancient, where there were many strange walls, and tree-like structures were also made, about which Eric used to talk. A box was kept a short distance away from that tree, but no one made the mistake of opening any box. After some time, Eric was called downstairs, and now he starts to have visions after seeing the entire place. Along with that, when Eric saw the tree with that structure, he was quite happy, and now suddenly his hand started moving towards that box. He tells everyone to open the box, inside which there was a glove and a hammer. Eric told the rest of the people that you go away from this place. Actually, this box belonged to the ancient deity Thor, whose symbol was a hammer, meaning that it was confirmed that Eric also has Thor's powers inside him. That's why he was able to pick up the hammer. As soon as Eric wore gloves, he took the hammer in his hand. All the powers come to Eric that he could not control before. Everyone starts feeling shocks of electricity all around. Now Eric directly comes out with the hammer, where he was telling Kristen that he had learned to control all these powers. But here, the highway and the rest of the soldiers were starting to be afraid that Eric should not go out of control and kill everyone, so she tells her soldiers to fire, but the bullet was directly in Kristen's head instead of hitting Eric. Kristen died there. Eric could not bear this moment at all, and now he starts spreading all his electricity powers everywhere. He threw the hammer in which powers were collected back. Eric goes so out of control that all the soldiers gathered there along with many innocent people's lives are lost. And now people who were saying were right that Eric is an avatar of God and he has started causing destruction all around. All the people present there had to lose their lives. After causing so much destruction, Eric disappeared somewhere, after which our story ended here.